Hi everybody, it's Julie, Kansas City girl in a Colorado world, and this is Flosstube number 106. Today is Thursday, March 2nd, but I will probably be uploading this overnight, and you're going to see this on Friday, March 3rd, which is the first day of market, Nashville Needlework Market. Basically like the most exciting time of year for most cross stitchers. And I actually I'm not participating in Needlework Market, but I have a design coming out tomorrow or today or whatever day you're watching this, that is a little bit tied into market. So there is a collaboration that is happening. It has happened already, and it's XStitch the Rainbow. And they did a release to coordinate with Needlework Expo in the fall of last year, but this is the newest iteration of XStitch the Rainbow, and it's everybody is releasing their pattern on Friday, March 3rd, first day of market, and a lot of people who are contributing are actually going to be at market with their patterns there. My pattern will not be sold at market, but it will be available on my Gumroad page, which I will link down below. And this will be one of my patterns where it's free. You can put a 0 in and get it for free. Or if you'd like to pay for the pattern, you can pick an amount, kind of like a pay what you want, which is a feature that I can do with the Gumroad website. So XStitch the Rainbow is a collaboration of designers and a floss maker. So in the fall of 2022, the floss was Cottage Garden Threads. This round, we are using Treenway silks. And so there are 25 designers participating, and the theme is tea time. And so we voted on a palette, and then Treenway Silks put together the palette, and then we received the palette. So it's 4 colors. The silks come in 10-yard skeins of 6 strands, and you can get the silk packs from, I think, several different retailers. I know for sure you can get them from Top Knot Stitcher, but I think some other people will have it as well. But I will link down below for Top Knot Stitcher if you want to go. You can actually see, you can get the palette of silks, but you can also see all of the releases. And then there's the XStitch the Rainbow website where you can see all 25 releases, because some people, some designers like me, are doing just like an online only, so not selling a print pattern. So if you want to see what everybody's doing, you can go there and check that out. This is my first time participating. I haven't participated in the previous iterations, but I'm really excited because I did participate this time. So like I said, the theme is tea. It was tea time, I think, was the theme. And we all had to use these 4 colors. I guess you didn't have to use all 4 of them, but you could only use the 4 of them. You could not add in any other colors, like nothing, extra, just those, limited to that 4 color palette, which became quite challenging, but also, was a fun, creative way to challenge yourself. So I'm going to put a picture of my design up and maybe just show a few, because I don't actually have this with me. So my friend Alexis, My Amazing World, she stitched my design for me because being on the road, I didn't have anywhere for the Treenway silks to be shipped to me. So I had them shipped to Alexis, and she agreed to model stitch for me. And then she so graciously actually fully finished and took pictures for me of this design. So this is all, I did the design, I did the chart, but Alexis did everything else. And I appreciate her so much. But I'm calling my pattern Time to Spill. And I used a negative space to put the words "spill it" on a teacup. So this is a play on like spill the tea, which is, give me the tea, give me the gossip. You sit down over your cup of tea, you chat with a friend, and you get the gossip. So I used all 4 colors and did like kind of a teacup design with that negative space. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. So I hope you like it. If you do want that pattern, just go to my Gumroad and you can grab it there, and go check out everybody else's design. So the thought is that you buy this 4-color palette of silk, and then you just stitch like as many designs as you like. And like I said, they're 10-yard skeins. So that's a generous amount of floss. So you should be able to stitch quite a lot of these. All of the patterns have to be under 60 by 60. So they're all quite small. And so again, that floss should go a long way. My model is stitched 1 strand over 2 on 40 count, and it's linen from Fox and Rabbit, and it's in the color Eureka, which is just a really beautiful, like creamy gold, like neutral. So you can get that pattern down below if you're interested. And again, go check out what everybody else did, because it was really, really interesting to see where, like, just having a theme of tea time, like where that can lead you, because there's the obvious like teapot, teacup, that kind of thing. But some people really, you know, were thinking outside the box and came up with some really, really cool things. And I'm not even going to like call them out by name, because I don't want to forget anybody or miss anybody. But there are several that I just really, really love. So I hope to stitch some of these myself. I still don't have the silks, but I think I'll get them eventually. And there is a DMC conversion, so that's an option as well. So that is Time to Spell from Hemlock Rye Stitchery. And that was one finish that I didn't finish. Alexis did. But I actually really do want to stitch it. I might stitch it with the DMC soon, just because I want to. So I did finish something else though in the meantime. I'm still on my mission to finish 40 old works in progress in 2023. So I think I'm at 6. I think I finished 6 so far. Some of those were low-hanging fruit, that is like some little projects that didn't have a lot left in them. I'm definitely going to be challenged and have to really stretch to end up with 40 by the end of the year. There's going to be some that are definitely going to be a lot of work, but I did finish one more. So this is the Sense and Sensibility sampler from Sampler Girl. I got this as a PDF from her website, samplergirlstudio.com, and I just printed it as a black and white. So this isn't going to be like a real good depiction for you, but I did stitch it with all of the called for DMC. So my version should be pretty spot on. So this is just a long skinny pattern. I had this scrap of Picture This Plus. This is 36 count mellow, and I'd had it in my stash for a while, and it's like I said, a really narrow strip of like a remnant of this fabric, but it did fit this pattern. So like I said, stitched with the called for DMC. I did leave off the very bottom. There's just a little floral motif down here. My chart, it was really hard to read. I do have to say, I love the Sampler Girl, but this chart was very challenging. It was an older chart, I think, that she had scanned in, and it was just a little blurry, and it got cut off in like a weird place, and then it was on the next page, and then I think when I printed it, it didn't print really well. So this motif down here was like cut in half and on a second page, and I just did not have the capacity to try to figure it out. So I just stopped right here under my work. I thought, that's fine. That'll work. So I do want to do this as just like a simple wall hanging. I think I'm going to do the hem stitch down the side and then attach it up here with some kind of like dowel rod. I might have something that I'll show you when I get to haul. But yeah, I'm going to finish this as just like a simple flat wall hanging. But that is a finish, and it felt good. This was really old WIP. I think I started this in like 2018, so it's been hanging around for a while. And then I did finish, I fully finished something. So I think in my last video I showed a finish of the stitching, or maybe the video before, but anyway, I fully finished the Philanthropic Pumpkin by Hands On Design and Lady Create. So this was a very limited edition charity pattern, or charity kit, fundraising for, oh, I can't remember now. I want to say it was Special Olympics, but I'm not entirely sure that's what it was. But anyway, this was a limited edition kit, so I'm so sorry you cannot get this any longer. But the kit came with everything you needed to finish this, except for like DMC floss and a little bit of interfacing. But it came with the fabric that you stitch on. It was just a 32 count something or other linen. And it came with all of these finishing supplies, and it came with these darling little pumpkin pins and really good detailed instructions. So all I had to provide was some DMC floss and one small piece of interfacing. And so I do have this fully finished. It's really cute, and I'm really sorry because I know a lot of people are like, where can I get that? I would love that. And you can't. You can't get it. And I've already promised the pattern to my friend Mandy, so that's going to be in the mail to her soon. So those are my finishes. All right. So I worked on a couple of things. I have a couple of WIPs. Not too many. This should actually be quite a short video because I don't have that much. So I really thought I would be done with this, and I am not. This is Peace, Love, and Purpose from Plum Street Samplers. And I showed this in my last video, and all I had left to do was this blue fill-in. And you can see it's getting there. I've done a little over half of it. But this is just like a car project that I'm stitching on like occasionally when I'm in the car, which I haven't been in the car a whole lot. So I haven't gotten a lot of progress on this, but it's not that it's probably like an hour or two left of stitching. I just haven't stitched on it, but it will be done. Maybe next video it will be done. This is Peace, Love, and Purpose Plum Street Samplers. This was a kit that I got from Country Sampler. So it came with like the called for fabric and floss. It was all like bundled up in one package, but you can get this anywhere now. And you don't have to buy it as a kit. You can just buy the fabric and do it yourself. But there is Peace, Love, and Purpose. Someday soon that should be done. That should be finished. Probably not fully finished, but finished. So I am, of course, already behind on all of these stitch alongs that I overcommitted myself to this year. I hadn't really planned to commit to any of them. And then Jacob at Modern Folk Embroidery released his stitch along for 2023, and I had to do it. So this is Reaching Skyward. I've gotten a little bit of February done. So the January section is done. I've gotten a little bit of February done, but also a little bit of March done. So I was kind of stitching February and March together because of the way it split in the pattern. It just kind of made more sense. I'm doing my own color palette here. This is a 40 count Fiber on a Whim, and I think the color is Sand, but I'm not sure. The tag fell off, so I don't know that for sure. And I'm just using DMC, and the navy blue is an NPI Hank of Silk, but all of the other colors are DMC, and I'll show you my little palette here, which I'm really happy with. So this is my DMC palette to complement my navy blue. So it's like a rainbow, but it's like a rich autumn jewel tone kind of rainbow. And I'm really happy with how this is coming out. So originally I was going to just do the 2-color version. That's how Jacob charted it. And I picked my navy blue, and then I was really struggling for the complement color, and I ended up deciding on this gold, which I think is like DMC 3852. But on this fabric, it reads more of a yellow than a gold. And of course, I had stitched like at least half of this border before I decided I didn't like it. and I still don't like it, but I didn't want to pick it all out. So my compromise is, so that I could live with all this yellow in the border, was I'm doing an ombre. So the border will be in an ombre down the side. And you can see some of that starting to show here. I didn't have it in me to pick out the top border. So I just went ahead and finished it with the gold. And then I'm just picking random places to add the other colors in. And this is how it's looking. And I'm really, really happy with how this is looking. I'm, of course, already behind, but it's beautiful and I love it. This is a really cool stitch along because you get some options. So there's the main chart, but then Jacob gives you all these options. Like on the border, there's a different pattern you can use. This border also, there's a different pattern you can use. You could do the swans, or you could do, I can't remember what it was, like maybe just a bird or a tree. There's different borders in here, or different patterns, just all throughout it. There's like a lot of places where you can customize it. And I'm doing a mix of both. No rhyme or reason. I'm just picking whichever one I like the most. And that's how it's looking. And I'm really happy with that. So another stitch along that I actually am caught up on is the Dark Queen of the Earth from Autumn Lane Stitchery. And this one, I have a lot more done because this one actually started, it's not a 2023 stitch along. It started, I think, in September, and it will wrap up in August or September of this year. And so I am caught up. The March section just released last night, so I have all of March to get that done. But I am caught up until that point. So this is where I'm at. This is a 28 count Monaco that I dyed myself, and this is all the called for DMC floss. I do have a couple holes in here. So in her dress through here, and then a couple spots in the tree branches, there's a petite treasure braid that I don't have. And I'm probably just gonna put like a DMC metallic in there. I just haven't like sat down and picked one. So I do have like a little bit of stitching missing there, but otherwise it's all caught up. So this is what she's looking like, and I'm really happy with my fabric. So I was trying to get like a forest effect with my fabric, and I think I got pretty close. I know that the green of her dress does blend into the fabric, but I'm not too worried about it. In the end, if I need to do like some back stitching, I will. But for now, I'm just going to kind of wait and see how the pattern unfolds. And as things fill in, hopefully it won't blend in too much. But gorgeous. I'm absolutely loving this pattern. Just like the Dark Queen of the Sea, I loved her as well. So pretty. She's looking so good. So so then I have one more. I have a new start. I actually have been really good about not starting things because I'm so focused on my finishes. But I'd been wanting to start a Haid. I knew which Haid I wanted to start. It's called Meeting on the Turret Stairs. It is a watercolor painting that can be found in Dublin at the National Gallery. But and the artist, of course, I should have looked this up. I believe it's Frederick Burton, but I think it's there's three names. Frederick something Burton. So I actually got to visit this painting when I was in Dublin in September. And I had to actually plan because you can only view this painting twice a week for 1 hour. Because it's a watercolor, it's extremely fragile and delicate. And so they actually have a case that they will close the painting from light when it's not on display. So it's on display for 1 hour on 2 days of the week. I might insert a very short video of me actually looking at the painting. It was absolutely beautiful. There it is. They've got her open. God, it's so pretty. The color's like incredible.
Do you read the story? The story is even better.
Oh, I know the story. This room is very pretty. It's actually a really interesting room to have this on display, but it kind of works. All right, one last look. I don't want to leave. I can't believe no one else is looking at this. I'm the only one that's like even cares. So I just noticed something. Look at this lady's face. Mood. I think that's a detail you wouldn't notice unless you saw it in person. They can't figure out how to close it. I came back down to watch the ceremonial closing of the painting, but they don't know how to do it. I have loved this painting since the moment I saw it, but seeing it in person, you just would not believe how much detail is in that painting that you could just never get, no matter how good of a picture of it you get. Like you could never capture all that. So if you're ever in Dublin, you should go. The National Gallery, it's a free museum. There is amazing art there. And just try to coordinate so that you can go on a day that the painting will be on display and make sure you're there to see it. It's so beautiful. So anyway, yesterday I started my Haid because I wanted to do this just to commemorate getting to see that painting in person. And my friend Marjorie made, I'll link her down below. She's a newer Flosstuber. She's hosting a full coverage stitch along that was it's like super low key, like start whenever, but I think she had kind of said to start March 1st. So I was like, okay, fine, twist my arm, I'll go ahead and start. So I started. So I'm stitching this 1/1 tent stitch on 28 count Monaco. I debated doing 1/1 tent stitch on 40 count, which I know sounds a little crazy, but Candace, Slub Lover Stitches, has done her Haids that way. And she's gotten them done really quick and it looks amazing. But the reason I ended up going with 28 count was because I can do a loop start with 28 count, and I didn't want to. I know there's some way to do that with 40 count, but I wasn't even going to, with one strand, I wasn't going to try to figure that out. So I'm using 28 count. And this is actually walnut dye. I walnut dyed this 28 count in the fall. And the only reason I'm using it for this is just because it was the only piece of 28 count I had right now. But I actually think it was a smart choice because even though the coverage is really, really good, you still can get a little bit of fabric peeking through. And if this was stark white, I think that wouldn't look so great. So I think actually being on this nice neutral brown actually will fade in the background. Any gaps in the background won't be so obvious. So I have about 600 stitches done on this, and that's just from one day. So it does go really fast doing tent stitch because you're just doing that half stitch. But mine does start with just confetti. It just jumps right in. I know like with some heids, you'll just have like thousands of stitches of like 310 or, you know, 37.99 or something like that. And a lot of heids will just have like these chunks of just that. I'm sure I'll get some of those like solid stitching areas, but this one just jumps right in with confetti, and all of this is confetti, all of it. But I'm really happy with how it's looking, and it's really fun. It's going faster than I thought, but I'm really enjoying it. And I can't wait to get back to it. I'm gonna work on it some more today. So I did want to talk to you guys about Pattern Keeper knockoff, or maybe not a knockoff, an alternative for Apple users, because I did not know about this until Cam at Cam the Stitcher told me about it. So I don't have an Android, I have an Apple, so I never I didn't think there was any alternative out there, and she told me about an app, which I'll put it up here because I can't think of what it's called right now. I think it's called Markup RXP. I'll flash it, but I hadn't heard anyone talking about this, and I actually asked my friend Amy about it, and she's like, yeah, that I knew about that, and she's like, people did try that like a year or two ago. And it was really buggy and it wasn't working well. And so she's like, I don't think it took off. I think people just kind of forgot about it. Well, apparently they've updated it because it's working really well. So if you're an Apple user and you're looking for something that's like comparable to Pattern Keeper, I haven't used Pattern Keeper, but to me it seems comparable. You can upload your chart and it finds the symbols for you. It highlights them. You can mark them off, and you can do like your parked threads, all of that. So obviously I've only used it for a couple days, but I'm really happy with it so far. So I just wanted to let you know, if you have an Apple product, give it a try. And there's a trial. Like I have 2 weeks before I even have to buy the app. So you can test it out and make sure you like it. I don't even have a tablet. I'm using it on my iPhone and it's working fine. So check that out if you're looking for a Pattern Keeper, because like everybody says, Pattern Keeper really does elevate your full coverage stitching. It seems like, oh, how much better can it be? Like you know, you can just print it and highlight it or whatever. It's really like, it's just so helpful having those symbols highlighted, especially when you're in a confetti area. It takes so much strain off of your eyes because you're not just searching, trying to find those symbols and missing one, you know, and just, it's just so much easier for your brain and your eyes. So I definitely recommend it. I've only used it for a little bit, but I'm loving it. So yeah, there is my little start. Oh, I should probably say, I'm doing the Royal Rose method. That's just because that's what Marjorie is doing, and she said it was working really well. And so what you do with that is, instead of doing a block of like 10 by 10, you do a block 10 across and 20 down. And I don't know why. I don't know what that gains you, but that's what I'm doing. But I am still going to do diagonals. So I did one here, and then I went up here and did one, and then I went down and did one, and then now I'm coming back up, and then we'll just keep going down diagonally. I think it might just wrangle your threads a little bit better if you do it that way. I'm not sure. It's working for me. I'm not complaining. All right, so that's all of my stitching. I do have a little bit of haul. So I actually met Abby from Top Knot Stitcher in person because she lives about 20 minutes away from where I am at this moment. So we kind of like were chatting, and I was telling her I was heading up her way, but I didn't know exactly where she was. And I said, you know, I'm coming up to like the Sonoma area, and she's like, oh, really? Like, where are you going to be? And I told her, and she's like, I'm like 20 minutes away from there. So I used that opportunity to place an order with Abby. and was actually able to get it delivered in person. So we met up and we had some coffee and we had a little chat, and it was fabulous. It was fabulous. So what did I get? Well, I really was restrained because I don't have a lot of room in here. So I have to be restrained. But one thing I got, I'm looking for my oh, here it is. One thing I got that I thought I might be able to use for finishing my Sense and Sensibility was this little wooden hanger. And I think it might work. So again, I'm going to do like a hem stitch, and this will be a little bit narrower when I'm done, but I think I might be able to finish it like this as my wall hanging. So I got this little, I don't even know who made it. It's probably, well, maybe it's on here. Oh, it's French. I can't pronounce that. Les Secrets. No, that's not right. Les Secrets de Marie. No. Okay. Anyway, that's on Abby's website though. And then I got this random Gloriana silk floss because it's beautiful. It's called Royal Plum Light. And it's just a really pretty Gloriana. I didn't need it and I don't have anything in mind for it. I just wanted it. I got this Nora Corbett Floral Dream. I love this. This is, I also want the Moon Goddess one, but Abby didn't have that, or she had just sold out of it. So, the Moon Goddess one is a lady like sitting on a blanket, but I don't know. I just think these are really cool. And I like that Nora kind of did something a little different there. So I got this and the bead pack. And then, like I said, I was restrained. So then I got these Ingleside Imaginarium patterns. So like, I completely missed these when they came out. And I mean, completely missed these. I actually went to Brittany's Instagram and looked because I was like, when did she release these? Like, how did I not see these? And I think it was like, she released them like the first week of July. Well, a lot of y'all wouldn't remember this, but the first week of July was our first week on the road. Like, we moved into this camper on June 30th. So we were a little busy. And we were staying somewhere where I didn't have internet service. And, so these literally just, I missed them. I just completely missed them. So these are Van Gogh's. These are her Van Gogh's. So goat patterns based on Van Gogh paintings. So there's Van Gogh's sunflowers and Van Gogh's irises. And they're really small. They're like 73 by 95. They're not big. They are, a little bit confetti, a lot of backstitch. And I don't love backstitch, but I think these will be worth it. I think they're going to be worth it. And I just love these. And I think they'll be so cute finished in oval hoops like she did. And just like hanging on a wall. Like, I don't know. I could see it in my future home. And I love them. And I totally missed them in the summer. So I needed them. I've actually seen Van Gogh's sunflowers when I was in the UK. And then Abby actually gave me this, so to coordinate with the Tea Time XStitch the Rainbow that's coming out on Friday, March 3rd. Jen at Delicious Threads created this floss drop, and there's also a needle minder, and they'll be available through Abby Top Knot Stitcher. And so Abby gifted me the thread keep. So it just says it's tea time, and it's super, super cute and adorable. And thank you, Abby, for that. So that was my haul from Top Knot Stitcher. And then I have one last little bit of haul. So I have some design ideas coming up. Well, I don't know when they're coming, but I have some ideas in my head. And I needed some fabric for them. And I was looking for something that was kind of like a galaxy night sky kind of look to it. So I went to Mystic Fabrics and I got a couple of pieces of fabric. So Misty at Mystic Fabrics is amazing because she has a ready to ship section on her website. So if you go to the ready to ship, you'll get them right away. So she mailed my order out the next morning and I got it in like 2 days. It was awesome. So you can also, if you want something like specific, you can put it in an order and then like, you know, she'll dye it for you, but it's going to take a little longer. But her ready to ship selection was really, really good. I was impressed. So this is 32 count Lugana and the color Galaxy. I love this. I love this. Look at this. Isn't that amazing? So that's exactly what I wanted. Some Galaxy fabric. But I grabbed a couple others because I've got a few patterns in mind. So this is 28 count Lugana in Night Sky Jennifer. This I love. It is so beautiful. It looks like almost like Aurora Borealis a little bit. I love it. And then I got 32 count linen. So I got a Lugana, a 32 count Lugana, a 32 count linen, and then that 28 count Lugana. So this is 32 count linen in the color Nebula. Oh my God, these fabrics are so stunning. These are so beautiful. So look for potentially some designs upcoming. And then I had, there's another design I have floating around in my brain, inspired by Cam the Stitcher and a conversation we were having. And so we were having that conversation while I was picking out fabrics from Misty's website. So I ended up grabbing this one because I thought this might work for what we have in mind. This is 28 count linen and the color is Mother Nature. So this one's a little less wild than the others, but still amazing. Beautiful. So you might see some designs on those someday. All right, so that is all of the cross stitch. I do have a couple of books to talk about. So if you don't care to hear any book talk, you can leave now and you're not going to miss anything. And if you want to hear about books, let's talk about some books. So I've got 5 books to talk about. So this shouldn't take too long. Okay, so my friend Jen, she is not a Flosstuber, but she's on Instagram as Jenny Penny. So you might have seen her around on Instagram. So it's GENNIPENNI. And we just connected like it's over a year ago at least. And we just connected over books. Like I don't even know how, Jen, I don't even know how we started talking. But we just like DM all the time. And so we just started doing buddy reads last year, and she came up with this idea, this year that I was like, that is brilliant. Why doesn't everybody do this? But we read a lot of Kindle Unlimited books. So Kindle Unlimited is a service where you pay a monthly fee and you get access to this entire catalog of books. And there are some, a lot of books you would have heard of, some bestsellers, some pretty popular books, but then there are just a ton of like self-published romance, fantasy, and like mystery thriller. There's a bunch of published books. And as dark romance has gotten really popular, especially due to book talk, these Kindle Unlimited authors are kind of exploding and getting really popular. And you can get some really great recommendations through like Instagram Reels or book talk. So I love Kindle Unlimited, but it's kind of where I go for like sometimes like for what I call like my trashy books. Like I'm just going to read like fairy porn kind of smutty stuff. But anyway, Jen came up with this idea that she's like, okay, we have all these Kindle Unlimited books we want to read. And she's like, why don't we do an ABC challenge and try to like just match a book to every letter of the alphabet? And I was like, that is brilliant. So we are having so much fun, like trying to decide what we're going to read for the next letter. And we'll, I'll give her some ideas and she'll give me some ideas, and then we'll kind of like figure out what we want to read. So our first pick was Anastasia by Sophie Lark. Now, unfortunately, Jen was not feeling this book, and she ended up like just stopping. She's like, I can't, it's going to put me into a reading slump. I can't read it. And I do understand why. So, okay. Sophie Lark, if you're not familiar, usually writes mafia romance and like really dark twisted romance. So she has the Brutal Birthright series, which is mafia romance. And then she also wrote There Are No Saints, which is like a serial killer romance. So like she writes really dark, like twisted stuff, right? And I've read a couple, I think I've just read 2 books from the Brutal Birthright series and really, really enjoyed them. So I was like, yeah, I want to read like Anastasia. It just came out. I wanted to read it anyway. Like that's what we're going to read for A. It's going to be great. I went in expecting like a short, snappy, like really smutty romance novel. So I think you have, if I just had gone in with a different mindset, like my experience would have been much more enjoyable reading this book. And once I like shifted my mindset, I had a good time with it. So I'm just like laying this out there for anyone who's interested in this book, just so you kind of know when you're going in. So it's called Anastasia. It's an Anastasia retelling, right? Based on like, it's not a direct retelling of like the animated movie that we all know, but it is the Romanovs and Rasputin, all of that. But I guess what I expected was like, you know, her family's gonna get murdered and she's gonna run off and like have amnesia or something. And then she's gonna meet this like guy and it's gonna be really steamy and sexy and, you know, all that. No, this is mostly just like a fantasy. It's not very, there is romance, but it comes later. And it's very slow. So it's a really long book. I think it's like 800 pages. No, it wasn't that many. Maybe it was like 500 something pages, but it's long. And you go through a lot of her childhood. Like that is the majority of the book actually, is just her growing up. And I guess what I was struggling with was I thought like, oh, her family's gonna get murdered like in the first like, you know, 10% of the book. And then we're gonna start like the show. But that doesn't happen. And I don't want to spoil you, but I think if I had just known going in, I could have just enjoyed the experience a little bit more. It is well past the 50% mark before her family is murdered. So you're spending a good chunk of the book with her and her family. So just, I think like once I kind of like was like, oh, okay, that's not how this is going to go. Then I kind of settled in with the book and just enjoyed it. And it is a really well-written fantasy. So it's the story of the Romanovs, but there's some magic involved. So in this version of the world, people have a little bit of a natural talent, and it can vary from person to person. People just have like an affinity for a little bit of a kind of magic, and everybody is a little different, and some of them aren't that exciting or that useful. Like for example, one of the servants can tell if someone's lying. So she is like a very valuable servant to the family because she can tell if somebody's lying. You know, things like that. Like someone will have just like a little talent. So Anastasia has her talent and you get to explore that. And yeah, it was really interesting. I just didn't quite know what I was getting into. I definitely don't want to spoil like one thing I really didn't see coming, but Rasputin has a very interesting talent and it's not what you think. And there is a romance that slowly develops and you do finally get some steam and some spice, but it's like way at the end. So this was a slow burn. But it is a really good book. It is well written. It just wasn't, it was like, I mean, whatever Sophie Lark has written before was nothing like this. So I think if you just go in with that, you'll enjoy it. I think I rated it 4 stars. Like it was good. It was good. It was long and it was slow. Once I accepted that, I enjoyed it. All right. I feel like I talked forever about that book. Some of you are probably like checked out. Okay. So then I did reread Acotar, A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. So I am doing an Audible like audiobook reread of this series. I finished Throne of Glass last year. I did that reread, and so now I'm doing A Court of Thorn and Roses, and then I'll do the 2 Crescent City books. And maybe by the time I'm done with all that, maybe we'll have a new book from Sarah Janet Maas. Anyway, I love Acotar. I do. It gets a lot of hate and a lot of flack, but I, having just reread it, can say like it is a solid fantasy romance story. It's not, the first one isn't gonna like blow your mind, but it is a good, solid story. And then the books do get better, but I even think the first book is really good. It's kind of gets dismissed as like being a little bit mediocre and like you got to hang on for the second and third book. But I think the first book is like good on its own. So if you're unfamiliar with Acotar, it kind of was like a pretty like, I don't want to say it was groundbreaking or revolutionary because it wasn't. It had been done before, but it was the first one that got like really popular, but basically like a smutty like fantasy romance. And it's the first one is like a Beauty and the Beast retelling, sort of. So Feyre is a human woman who has to go live with a Fey prince, and he's sort of like the Beast character. And she's not, it's not like he kidnaps her, but like she has, as a punishment, she has to go live in the fairy realm with him, and she doesn't want to. And then they fall in love, right? So there's a lot more to it than that, but it's, you know, it's a well-crafted world, and the magic and the setting, like it all is very interesting, I think. And I don't know, it was a reread, but I still really liked it. And actually it's really fun to reread it, like knowing what comes later and looking at characters with kind of a different lens, because there are some characters that you are meant to dislike in this book, in this first book. But later on they kind of get like their redemption arc. And so kind of knowing like where they're coming from and rereading the first book, you can kind of see like, oh, okay, wait, like they weren't that bad, because you know like what was really going on. And then there are some characters you're meant to like that you won't like later. So it's just really interesting to read it with like the knowledge of what's coming, and to see some of those red flags. Like, how did we miss those red flags? If you've read the series, you know what I'm talking about. So anyway, that was Acotar. Okay, and then I read something new. So I grabbed this at Barnes & Noble, off the like buy one, get one 50% off romance table, and really enjoyed this book. So this is A Dash of Salt and Pepper by Kosoko Jackson. This is a male gay romance written by a Black author, which I think is awesome. And we need more diversity, especially in the romance genre. Like it's a lot of like straight white romance. So anyway, this was delightful. This book came out in December and I heard like nothing about it, and I have not heard a peep about this book from, you know, there are a couple of like romance booktubers I watch on YouTube, and none of them have mentioned this book. So I don't know what's going on with this book, if it just kind of like flew right under the radar. I'm not sure what happened, if it just got lost coming out right before Christmas. But I loved this. This book is so funny and snappy, sharp, sarcastic, and just, but also like really swoony. I really enjoyed this. The one thing I will say about this, so this is just a contemporary romance. So it's set in a small coastal town in Maine. A lot of like references to like current pop culture. A lot of references to Grey's Anatomy, Stars Hollow, Gilmore Girls, like that kind of vibe. But the one thing I worry about is like, how will this age? I don't think this book will age well, because it is very, very like of the moment. Really funny and and cool and witty, but in 5 or 10 years, I think you might, if you read this book, you might be like, ew, like, what? So I'm not sure how it's gonna age because it's a little bit too like pop culture-y, but since it just came out like 2 months ago, I really enjoyed it. So yeah, he has one other book, like this was his second book. His first book was I'm So Not Over You, and I need to find that and read it because I really enjoyed this. This is really good book. So then for the Kindle Unlimited ABC, like the next book we picked, I did kind of like strong arm Jen into this book. So it was Beautiful Corruption by B.B. Hamill, an author I hadn't read before but had heard of. And this is a mafia romance. And I have to say, this book was very underwhelming. I did not like it, but I did not hate it. And it was short and really easy to read. And I was able to finish it pretty quick. So I kind of stuck it out, but Jen actually like tapped out on this one too. So like she's 0 for 2 on our buddy reads. And I feel so bad because like I pushed for these 2 books. Like Anastasia actually, it was good. It just was not what either of us were wanting or expecting to read at that point. And then Beautiful Corruption just wasn't very good. So that was my fault. The thing about this one is like it was just very like mediocre, like really predictable, just kind of a boring like mafia romance. So, you know, it had all like the spicy scenes and all that, but I don't know. It was just kind of meh. Like it was so forgettable. And when Jen was like, I can see where this is going, and I already know, like, I'm not gonna like this, it's gonna be this and this, and I was like further ahead of her, and I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what it is. And she's like, yeah, I don't think I want to read this because, like, you know, I can already tell it's not for me. And I'm like, I totally get that. I'm gonna go ahead and finish it because my Kindle says I have like 2 hours left in it, so I'm just gonna finish it. But like, I totally get it. I don't love it either. So yeah, I don't know. I can't even recommend it, like, because there's so much more entertaining, like, smutty mafia romance out there that there's no use in like slogging through something that's just really unremarkable. Like, it was not bad. It wasn't bad at all. It just wasn't anything. Like, there was just no substance to it. Read something more fun out there. Like, there's other stuff. Okay, the last book I'm going to talk about. It's the new Tessa Bailey book, Secretly Yours. This came out like the week before Valentine's Day. I was so excited about this book because it's set in Napa, and I'm not in Napa right now. I'm in Sonoma, but you know, close enough. California wine. And so Tessa Bailey is an author who I'm so glad I gave a second chance. So she writes contemporary romance. And I read something from like her Fixer Up series, and I was like, it's fine. Like, it was okay. I didn't hate it, but I wasn't like blown away. But I decided, like, let me give her one more try. So then I read something else and I liked it a lot better. And I was like, okay, like, I'm gonna give her one, you know, I'm feeling better about it. And then it happened when summer came out and everybody was like in love with it, and I was like, okay, I'll check it out. And I really loved that book, and I loved the follow-up, Hook, Line, and Sinker. So now I'm actually like kind of a Tessa Bailey stan. Even though I almost like just gave up on her, I'm glad I didn't. She also had a holiday book come out called Window Shopping, and people didn't talk a lot about that book, and a lot of people didn't love that book, but like, I loved that book. I read it so quick, I could not put it down. And that's true of most of her books for me. Like, they're really hard to put down. But then I read one recently that I didn't like. I can't remember what it was called. But it was like something she'd written like in the past. But it's a 4-book series, and they're actually getting rebranded, and I saw them at Target. So because it happened when summer did so well, they're like trying to push like some of her older books. What were those books called? I could see the covers in my mind, but I can't think of what they're called right now. I'm not sure if I want to continue the series. I did not like the first book, but I was interested in the other characters. I might pick up the next one eventually, but it doesn't matter. This is her new one, Secretly Yours. And I really loved this. I blew through it, could not put it down. Now, I was surprised after I finished this. I went to Goodreads and it's getting really some mixed reviews. It's getting some like good reviews, and then it's getting a lot of like, yeah, I didn't like it, like 2-star reviews. I was actually really surprised. So this is one that's not doing as well for her. Maybe kind of like how window shopping was. Like some people just really didn't like that. I don't know why. I liked it. I liked it a lot, and I really loved this book, and I thought it was delightful. So the main character, Hallie, is kind of like a space cadet, but she's so charming. She's got, her life is a mess. She's total chaos, but she has a heart of gold. And the male love interest, Julian, is like super uptight, grumpy, like dealing with some anxiety issues. And they're like polar opposites, and she comes in like a wrecking ball and just like messes his life up, but he can't stop thinking about her, and you know, all that. So they get, you know, they fall in love. Like that's the whole point. But anyway, I thought it was adorable. And being set in wine country, like I guess it featured like, yeah, it featured pretty prominently in the book. Yeah, I thought it was really delightful. I guess I can see why people didn't like it, because so the male hero does something like towards the end of the book that is pretty bad. You see it coming, like there are warnings. But he does this thing, and I think maybe like people feel like there wasn't enough like groveling to redeem that thing. Like what I saw in reviews was like, if a man ever did that thing to me, like bye-bye, no second chance, we are done. So I guess I could see that, but like to me it made sense. And like I don't want to spoil it, but like he has a plan like to get help for this thing, so it didn't bother me as much as other people. But anyway, I liked it. I thought it was great. And I'm actually really excited about the next book. She's already like teasing the next book. I think it's gonna come out in the fall. And it's gonna feature like the sister of Julian. Ends up like, we don't know how, but she ends up married to an ex-Navy SEAL who owns a like rival vineyard. I don't know how they end up married. Like, I don't know if it's like a drunken Vegas kind of thing, but it looks like it's gonna be like, we hate each other, but we're gonna fall in love. So I don't know. I think it looks good. So, all right, those are all the books I read. Wow, I feel like I talked a really long time. All right, that's all I got. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.